Hello and welcome to What's New in Microsoft 365 and Teams for the 7th to the 31st of May. So I'm just going to start off by dragging this over for you, and someone's commented on a previous video saying, great information, but please speak more slowly and clearly. Thanks. So I want to thank Cara for taking time to share that comment. I've had that feedback before. I do have a habit of speaking maybe a little bit quick. So Cara, I will try on this session to slow it down a little bit, speak a bit more clearly, because you are right. So anyway, let's see how we get on. Folks, we have got some updates for Forms, Lists, SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, Stream, Teams, and then we'll take a look around Microsoft 365. So that's just like my catch-all type topic. At the bottom you can see some icons. A tick will suggest that it's already available. A bite size is just giving you a quick update. The telescope is we're looking a little bit further into the future. An alarm clock with the Zs means that Microsoft has snoozed the update and it's a little bit delayed. And then that hand, which is meant to mimic someone like showing like a stop sign or a halt sign, that just tells you that the thing has been put on hold, and we've got one or two of those today. Folks, if you're watching on YouTube, please take a second to subscribe, give me a thumbs up. It makes just a big difference when it comes to YouTube sharing the updates. So, let us start with Forms. A new first run experience. Now, I talked about this ages ago. So it's, I don't know whether it's the same update that's been just revamped and just rebranded, and they're kind of relaunching the fact there's this new experience, or it's genuinely different. I think I commented on this in the last video as well. Anyway, you're getting this new Forms user experience, and it's just going to guide you through the basics of Forms as you go. And it's just to help people just start from scratch who are experiencing that. Just that when you stare at a blank form or blank anything when you're new to that software, it just gets you past that. So I think it's going to be pretty good. It's going to navigate through some templates, the categories, and just make it a little bit easier for you to get started. Look out for that early to late June. So anytime over the next few weeks, hopefully. A delay to Microsoft Forms' new app called Polls in Teams. So you know that when you have a Teams meeting, you add forms, and then when you add forms, it shows up as polls. Okay, so I think they're just tidying that up, and it's due by mid-June. Interesting to see whether that is all there is to it, or are they simply changing like the way it surfaces, or do we already have the app and they just haven't quite integrated it all yet? So I'm kind of keeping a close eye on that, because I'm not crystal clear on how that's going to manifest. But anyway, it's due over the next couple of weeks or so. Microsoft Lists. So we talked, let me just zoom in on this for you a little bit. So this new tab here, Unscheduled. So I spoke to you about that last time. And we're now getting the ability to drag and drop list items around. So we can reschedule them by dragging them from one date to another. So nice and easy, we just drag them about. Now you can unschedule. So this is part of that new tab. If something you no longer know when it's going to happen and you just don't need a date on it, you can drag it from the calendar into this unscheduled tab, and then it loses its dates. Also, if you do find unscheduled items, remember the things that appear in unscheduled don't have a start date or an end date, or there's two dates at the back to front, you can drag it from unscheduled into here, and then it gets given a date. So that was due by the end of May. So if anyone is a Forms user and you know that's already here, maybe put a comment in the comments area. But that should already be with you. And I checked before recording this, there was no delays to it, so you folks should already have that. Okay, let's have a look at OneDrive. Our first one is the ability to rename the add shortcuts to my files shortcuts. Hopefully you got that. So you know that you can go to SharePoint and you can say that you want to add a shortcut to your files in OneDrive. Now, if somebody's added a rubbish naming convention to that thing that you're adding the shortcut to, it might not be that helpful to you. So you get the ability, you can see here, to rename it. So you've got your new shortcut and you're going to give it a name that works for you. Doesn't rename the source as you'd expect. And I think it's good that you can combine that with the option to move shortcuts. So it might be that you're working on the whatchamacallit project. So you might have something here you link to, something over here, all these different SharePoint sites. So you can create a folder called whatchamacallit shortcuts, and you can just drag all those shortcuts in, rename them as you want them. And I think that's going to be quite a nice change to OneDrive. Due early to late June, so anytime now between now, folks, and the end of the month. Okay, so move over to Outlook. New Outlook personal bookings page. So hopefully this is going to just make it easier for you and other folk to get your meetings sorted out. So it's an actual page that people can go to and hopefully get hooked up with you and work with your calendar. It's going to be on web initially. And attendees can then go to your page and they can manage their appointments with you. Don't confuse this with Microsoft Bookings. So this is Outlook Personal Bookings, and that Microsoft Bookings is designed for group and team scheduling. This is about you, okay? And this is due mid to late June. Initially as a preview version. So when stuff's released as preview, it means that it's still got a few kinks in it, but it means that we get to use it. And like I say, it will be on the browser version first. I don't have any images for you. Maybe as soon as I do, I'll make sure I share those with you. Maybe next time. I really like this. Additional Outlook RSVP options. Let me just zoom in on this. So I think I mentioned last time when I was talking about the new ability for people who are setting up a Teams meeting to set the availability for everyone who comes to their meeting. You can say whether they're going to be out of office, are they working elsewhere. So you can decide how people's calendars show their availability when they've signed up for your meeting. And I think I commented on actually what would be really helpful would be to set people as in attending in person, attending online, and just by coincidence, this feature has popped up. So if you're invited to a meeting, you can just give the generic normal yes, you're attending, but you can also say yes, I'm going to attend in person, or I'm going to attend virtually. I think that is, it's sort of another one of those Microsoft things, isn't it, where you look at it and you're like, wow, that should have been in 2 years ago when the whole pandemic kicked off and people were working from home. But they got there in the end, and I think that's a really great addition. I think it's great that they've added that. So you got those three options. Due early this month, early June on web. Windows, the new Outlook for Windows, Mac and mobile. So it said that it's not available in the legacy application on Windows. Now I've got to be honest, I'm not quite sure what that meant, and on the blog post I put on there, what's it referring to by the legacy app. But you can see that it's coming pretty much everywhere. But we'll see that soon, and looking forward to that. I think it's a really good addition. Okay, a quick one for Microsoft Stream. The ability to comment on a video or audio file that's stored in SharePoint or OneDrive. So this is new. This is new Stream. And you can see here that just like you have in lots of applications, like I don't know, in the Office applications, and I think I commented on Visio a couple of months ago that it was getting this. So it just means you get this comments area. I think that's cool. But it's due. It should have come in. There's no further delays. So for you Stream users, that should have come in by the end of May. So the last few days. I can't be honest, folks. I didn't check this one before we started this video. So that might be in. And again, if you know it is, then feel free to share. Okay. Automatic groupings for app mentions in Teams for channel posts. So for those of you who don't know what this is about tagging. So you imagine that you work in a biggish team, and you know how you've got your team and you've got your channels. Sometimes the way people clump together isn't mapped by a channel. So it might be that you have the first aiders and fire wardens and those sort of people, and there's not a channel for them, but you do have those on your floor plate or your team. How do you communicate to them? Do you have to do app mention person 1 at mention person 2 at mention, and you have to do all these at mentions. What you can do is that you can create a tag in Teams called first aiders and fire wardens. Add those people to there, and then wherever the channel is that you're communicating, you can do a curly out sign, fire wardens and first aiders, and all those people who are associated with that tag will get notified in our activity feed to get called into the channel that you're working in. Now, if they're all in the same channel anyway, then you don't need to do that, but it's a great way of dragging in people who basically work across your team and aren't necessarily in the same channel. Now, we're getting a new automatic grouping, and I'm guessing we're going to see more of this. So this is for team owners. So let's say that there's an issue with a channel, and you can do the curly out sign, and you can start typing. Let's just have a look at this here. You can start typing team owners. It's an automatic group, so everybody who's an owner would get notified of your post. So I think it's a really nice useful addition. And it'd be interesting to see the fact that I've now got this automatic mechanism. I bet you that there'll be more of this coming along, and I'll group with these new automatic groupings. But folks, that's due anytime now, but certainly by the end of the month. I say certainly, I'm going to take that back because you know what it's like with delays. But let's see how that looks. Okay. Suggested replies in Teams desktop. So I've included this, but you've probably already got it. I personally don't know anyone who hasn't. So you got a message here. Now the details say when they've sent a couple of messages to you, or a handful of messages, you can see there's a group here. Then you see this, but actually, I'm seeing it much faster than the actual guidance says you're going to. So I'm not having to wait for multiple messages, and then the system looks like he's getting impatient and is suggesting that you answer the person. I'm actually seeing it a lot quicker. Anyway, you get 3 offerings, and their dynamics are based on the content. But I've got to be honest. So a couple of things. I'm not a big fan of using those auto replies. I'm terrified that the person's going to know that I couldn't be bothered to type, and I've just used one of these. But I'm very informal comms with people that I'm very close with, and I know they won't mind. Then I will use it, and I'm quite surprised just how good it is. It's the replies, the AI behind the scenes is reading the thread and making good suggestions. So a good addition, and you should already have it. If you don't like it, you can go into your settings. So go to the 4 little dots at the top, go to your settings, general, and you can turn that off if you want to. Available now on desktop. I'd be surprised if anyone doesn't already have that. New meeting poll question type called rating. Now, I'm a big fan of polls in Teams meetings. It's just a really nice way to engage your audience and to get information from them. It just breaks up your meeting. It just gives people something to do. It just draws them back into the meeting if they're straying a little bit. So this additional one. So we've already got the multiple choice, the free type, I think. The word cloud, and now we're getting this 4th one, ratings. Late June to mid-July. So that might even push out later into the summer. But look out for that, folks. Another one that I really like, and I will absolutely be using that. Okay. More Bluetooth headsets and speakerphones to answer and mute Teams calls. So this update means that if you've already got a Bluetooth headset that isn't currently Teams certified and you can't use it, Teams is going to start using the software that's built into it. So the mechanism that it uses to say work with your phone, it's going to start using that to answer and then mute yourself when you're on a Teams call. So using a physical device, so I really like Jabra headphones with a dongle like that for go on and off mute during Teams calls, and I think this is going to bring loads more devices into this. So if you can use your headset to answer calls with your mobile phone or your cell phone, then it should work to answer and end calls. And I think most interestingly, the mute button is going to work. Just a thing on this: if your computer's hooked up to multiple USB audio devices, then this won't work because it doesn't. It's to stop it getting confused. But apparently, there's an update coming that will show that'll let you just tell Teams which of your USB your Bluetooth devices to use. Anyway, if that's of interest to you, hop over to the blog and you can read some more. But for now, folks, the rest of us just look out. It again should be here by late June to mid-July. This is quite a big one. Collaborative annotations in Teams, meetings, presenters, shared screens. Let's just zoom in on this a little bit. So we've got this new option at the top. So this new icon here, and this means that we're going to start annotation. So being able to draw, put stuff on, and just chat on screen, a bit like you would with a whiteboard, but it's almost like think like you might have used whiteboard before. Now imagine the pane of glass that goes over the whiteboard, the thing that you're writing on. So that's going to get put over whatever it is that you're working on, and you can use all these controls from the whiteboard. Okay, and you can see here we've clicked the button, and now we've got these options here. But make a note here of this settings button on the right hand side. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, so as you can see, this has now been turned on, and let's just have another look at this. This is worth an extra couple of minutes. So we've clicked on the settings, so everyone can annotate, so just me or everybody. The collaborative cursors, so we can see where people are. Okay, so just want to clarify, this is not about the whiteboard. I had to read this twice, just to get my head around what it was. It's using the whiteboard controls and putting an invisible whiteboard with those controls over anything that's on your screen. Okay, so that I think it's going to work really nicely. On this example here, you can see that we've got a Teams meeting going on. We can see the collaborative cursors. We can see where the people are working. At the top up there, if you just have a closer look at that, folks, you can see there that the person's choosing their pen, their colours, or whatever, and we can all work on this together. It's due mid to late June this year, so we're talking about over the next couple of weeks in Teams. On Twitter and where I work, this created maybe the most noise that I've seen for a month or so. So look out for that. I think it's a really nice addition. Hop over to the blog, because there's a couple of caveats about saving it and what you do with it. And you can't export the output. Microsoft suggests you take a screenshot, but those features are coming, but they're letting it out a little bit early, but I think it's great. On hold, expanded reactions in Microsoft Teams. So you know that you got I think it's 5 or 6 options to respond or react to someone's post. You know, you got like your smiley face, your frowny face, your cross face, the heart, thumbs up. Anyway, so that's they're looking at increasing that to 880, something like that. Now, certainly one client that we deal with, they really don't like emojis because the ability for them to be misinterpreted, and especially if you're doing an audit in the future, what did that mean? How did this person respond? So the thought, I can imagine for them, the thought of having 880 isn't great. But somebody seems to have the same opinion as them because it's been put on hold. I wonder whether they're putting it on hold while they give organisations the option to opt in or opt out and control that and control which ones are available. Have the legacy set or the new set. But anyway, that bit of fun has been put on hold, and look out for that. A couple of things now for the Apple Focus. I don't talk about this a lot because I'm not an Apple person. I had an Apple Mac for 6 months, and 6 months later, I still felt like I was a new user, and maybe because of being involved in IT since I was 25 or whatever. Windows, I think I became involved in Windows NT when I was 25, so a while ago, a little bit younger than that maybe. To get to the level with an Apple, I just couldn't face the learning curve, so I've kind of given up on Apple. So I don't find myself drawn to it. So if I miss out Apple stuff, I apologise, folks. I don't do it on purpose. I don't notice it as much. Anyway, so Teams meetings on iPads. You get a multitasking panel. You can see on the right hand side there. Again, there's a bit more in the blog, but it's going to show this panel will show comments and attendees as well. Due June. Chat bubbles for iOS and Android devices due over the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so. And I like these, folks, because it just means you don't have to keep an eye on the chat. I've got to be honest, in a Teams meeting, I don't like them, especially if I'm presenting or anything to do with with what's going on there, or if I'm trying to focus, I'll turn them off. But I can see on a mobile device where you've got limited real estate on your screen, I think those popping up would be super helpful. Anyway, both of those changes are due in June. Okay, we're getting close to wrapping up. Let's have a look at a couple of updates from around Microsoft 365. This old update I've told you about ages ago, the ability to create videos on Office Mobile, put back a little bit, but should now be here by mid-June. So it's due somewhere between January this year and June. So it's like almost half a year spread, isn't there? There is half a year spread, give or take 2 weeks. Anyway, due anytime now. And for Yammer, the ability to change the sender name on the Yammer notifications, so that it's just a bit more intuitive and means more to the person, that is coming in late June. Okay, so as always, I know you're either watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast, but I do regular updates on Facebook, on Twitter. Just do a search for Super Simple 365. Regular updates on Twitter. They often go out at 7:30 a.m. UK time. So forgive me, just do that. Calculate what time that sort of comes out for you where you are. I occasionally post on LinkedIn, but feel free to hook up with me over there. The blog, maybe you want to just get a nudge whenever this comes out. So sign up for the newsletter and I'll just give you a nudge when this is available. Well, head over to the blog, folks, supersimple365.com for the latest updates. Okay, so hopefully that was a slightly nicer pace for you. It took a little bit more time, so hopefully that worked. I appreciate Cara taking the time to feedback. But for now, folks, we're done. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Hopefully that was helpful, and I'll speak to you soon.